It is PowWow.
The PowWow with Mo podcast.
What up, and welcome to the PowWow with Mo podcast. I am Mo.
I am PowWow.
And this is episode 34.
Sweet.
We have new microphones.
We do.
In the last week, I've spent a good deal of money on random shit to hopefully make the podcast sound better.
Yes.
I know it'll at least make me not spend 6 hours a night after we record it syncing shit up.
Yeah.
Because that sucked. And apparently the problem was, and I didn't really need all of this. I bought a lot. I overkilled by a lot.
Go big or go home, though.
It was just that they were recording at different frequencies or some shit, or like they're made by different companies, so they were slightly off, the two microphones. But now we have two of the same microphones. We got whatever the hell this thing is. I bought some car to put in this computer. Got some crazy cords. Should sound good.
For sure. All right, so there are a few things I want to talk about. One that I want to ask you first off, because I just seen this on Facebook maybe 2 or 3 days ago. It's in our local town here of Ada.
Oh, yes.
There was a baseball coach that took a team that had losing records the previous 2 seasons and then took them to regionals where they beat the number 1 seed. I believe it was Cassia Hall or someone like that.
Right. This is after they've sucked for a long time.
Yes, they've been terrible.
Yes.
And he brings them to a winning season, did well at regionals. They didn't make it to state, but they did well there. And apparently when he came back, he had a whole bunch of letters and emails from very upset parents.
Yep.
So I guess, and I didn't have time to look at all. Well, I shouldn't say have time. I did, but it didn't give me enough information.
Right.
Apparently, they were attacking him and his children.
Right. I don't have I may have a little more information, but not a whole lot more. I mean, I'm in a position with my job to where I've met this person.
Yeah.
One time, I didn't love or hate. Right. I mean, I don't know. It was just a random. Sure, I'll get that printer to work. From what I understand, basically what you said's true. A bunch of parents freaked out, and from the outside looking in, you're like, hey, he turned the program around.
Yeah.
And he came from a school that he was beloved. Now, I know he has stepchildren, if I understand is what the deal was. Okay. And the only thing I know that happened that may have led to some of this is there were 3 kids suspended off the team when they were caught smoking pot. And he was like, no, you can't play the rest. I mean, to me, that he did the right thing, especially when one of those 3 was a step kid of his.
Well, then, of course. Then
so, to me, he 100% took the high road.
Now I start to understand, because they're saying that his kids were the reason, or were bad influences on people. So I'm wondering if people are taking the approach
without going too much into it, I've heard that's not quite the case. I mean, I guess I know that's what's being reported.
Yes.
But from what I have heard from other sources, that's not accurate, what they're saying.
Agreed. I mean, I do, and because I had seen, there was just, when this got posted on Facebook by the Ada News, I mean, literally there was hundreds of comments in about 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, I read them all. It was great.
And I'm just like, and I didn't see at least one on there. There was obviously one of those parents, because there was none of them.
Right, everyone was defending him, and that's to me, maybe this story should have come out before the "I'm going to resign" thing, and because seen the support.
And it may have been different, because I mean, he said that they were not only attacking him, putting his children's names in these emails and letters.
Right, and like I said, I'm like in the tech department or whatever, so like, we saw his name come up of leaving, but we had no idea of this story at the time. And so my mind's always like, what did someone do? Scandalous, right? And then it turned out like, nope, completely on the up and up.
And I mean, and apparently they were attacking his face, saying he's not a true Christian and what all.
Let's see. The thing I have taken from being around the education system just a little bit is that parents today are insane. And I'm not calling out like one single person, but I've just heard so many stories collectively of like, I can never imagine my mother going to school and complaining about some stuff I've heard. And it's like, no, my mom would have been like, suck it up. That's the rules. Or I don't believe you or whatever. I don't know.
Again, parents, at least when we grew up, I never knew one time where my parents took
my
my
side
side
over. We grew up. We graduated, what, 11 and 12 years ago?
Uh-huh.
So it's not like that fucking
It's like
ago.
it's back in 45 years ago.
I know. I had respect in my day.
Exactly. I had to walk uphill both ways.
I mean, it was different. Like, we were a mixture of like that old, like, you just follow the rules, and then the new, like, parents got your back no matter what. Like, we were in this... We didn't necessarily follow the rules, We were just aware of the consequences and we're cool with it.
And you just took it.
And it's like it's evolved to this like we don't follow the rules and fuck your consequences.
Exactly. It's a little too crazy for me.
Right.
But yeah, I find it terrible because again, this guy's only been here a year, turns around a program. Now he's leaving without having another job as
Just
a
'cause he was
baseball
like, fuck
coach.
it. Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to deal with this. And I completely understand. Again, we had this happened in junior high where we had 2 players that were stars on the football team were kicked off for smoking pot.
Yeah.
It happens. But guess what? You knew what you were doing. You knew there's a chance of you getting caught. And especially now they do drug tests. If you don't realize you have a chance of getting yourself in trouble, and if you do, you're like, shit. Just like if you're drinking and driving, you get caught, you're like, shit.
Right. There's consequences.
I'm going to jail. I'm going to have to figure this stuff out. That was a choice you made when you got in.
Yeah. Even if you didn't realize it, you made that choice.
Exactly.
Just how that works.
It drives me nuts with this whole thing. I feel bad for him, especially with him turning it around like that. Getting probably some players that obviously improved, which is you don't just get better or have a better record by having the same crappy play and all that.
Right. I agree. It was crazy. So anyway, baseball jobs open, Power.
For sure.
So I've seen where, well, actually, I'm going to say that one second. Koopy says she will not be back on the podcast after last week.
Why is that?
Because we rushed her. She's like, I didn't even get the name out on one of my books. And she said we rushed her. Now, if someone who cares more than me wants to go back in time, the average length.
That's what I was going to ask.
Talk about each book. Because when we were sitting here, I remember looking at you and being like, man, it seems like Koopy's been talking a while, right? But I wasn't really saying anything. But then at the end, because we were running a long time and you had places to be, I was like, well, I'll make these quick. So kind of start making them quicker, right? And then, yes, me and you took a while on Game of Thrones, but we combined.
Yeah, 2 and 1.
A 2-in-1 slot. So I just feel like we would be proven right, but she didn't want to argue about it, and I wasn't going to get into it. Anyway, so she said she's done because we rushed her, and I told her we enjoyed her on, and I think people probably liked her, but that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up because the very next day when I went to work, I literally just went through my entire desk to try to find my 3x5 sticky note that has all my
the books
on
read.
it.
Yes.
Because that's how many I have read. And I couldn't find it. And then out of nowhere, I was like, it says something wolf. So I type it in. Very first thing that pulls up there is Cry Wolf is that name of the book that I was asking people to look at.
Right. So yes, Cry Wolf is the book for PowWow's number 5 favorite book.
Exactly. And when I what it was, as soon as I looked it up online, I seen the cover of it and I was like, shit, that's it. That's the book. So that way I didn't have to, because I would have thought about that at least until today.
All right. I see where a lot of people are mad at self-checkouts.
Very. Like I seen where one person's
like they're basically this is what happened this week on Meme World.
Yep.
Right? A meme comes out and it's all like, fuck you, I'm not using self-checkouts just so you could not hire employees, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's all pissed about it. And then Sideshow, a good friend of ours, he posted the best memes. He said something of like, this is the glass window fallacy or something. I don't know. I didn't look it up. He's way smarter than me. I assume it's some of like, let's have kids go around breaking glass windows so that people have jobs replacing windows. And I bet there's some like economic philosophy that like makes perfect sense or whatever. But me personally, since self-checkouts have been around, I've been like, this is the greatest shit. I'm so introverted. I don't look people in the eye. There's like 3 people in the world I'll look in the eye. And I can just look at a machine and I'm like, beep, beep. And I worked at a grocery store in high school, so I actually know how to bag shit, unlike these fuckers at their lines. I'm like, here's all my cold shit. Here's all my boxes. Here's all my cans.
What drives me nuts is when you buy like cleaning chemicals and they put it in the same bag as like fruits or something. It drives me nuts.
Yes, all the food goes together. Oh my God. So, and bread and eggs go fucking last.
Yes.
Oh my God. So anyway, I love self-checkouts. I will wait in line at a self-checkout and they'll come over and they'll be like, we have a person over here, and I'm like, I'm good. No. I'll just wait for the self-checkout to clear up.
See, I
don't like the new ones at Walmart, that the little small areas. It's like if you're buying 1 or 2 things, I just don't. I have to buy like groceries and shit. And I tried to go through there with a cart once and was like, oh goddamn.
No, it's difficult.
It is.
Because you run out of room to put stuff because you're trying to get it out of the cart, but then you can't stack it in your cart. Yeah, it gets nuts. And honestly, I don't have a problem as long as it stops food from increasing. If that's the reason they're doing it,
Right. I don't
know the main purpose unless they just want to make more money.
Well, we sold out as a country a long time ago, and I think it's bullshit. We're trying to put it on the places that sell the cheapest shit that we're like, well, you better pay people well, and you better feed our country. And it's like, well, how about all the big companies that left with their manufacturing jobs and shit? The reason Walmart sells cheap shit is because the people that make the cheap shit move to another country. Be mad at them.
Yeah.
Why is everyone mad at Walmart? They're just trying to sell you the cheapest shit, and they're competing with Amazon. They don't even have fucking stores.
Yeah, I mean, and our Walmart here is getting a whole overhaul. I'm assuming you've been in there recently.
Yes.
That entire area by the back restrooms where it's got the cold food.
It's like the order and pickup. Online, right?
Yeah, like so they're adding the order and pickup online. They're also adding some more produce area. I'm like, that's cool.
We have recently, in the last year, had at least 2 pretty good grocery stores. One I really like. The other one I went into, but they're like selling bulk, and I don't have a freezer big enough for it all.
Yeah.
But like this new Pruitt's place, I'm a big fan.
First off, I got crab legs from there, pretty cheap.
Yeah, well, like my new grocery routine, I usually just go to Walmart myself because I have the savings catcher. Right? That's my big thing. But now I'll go and I'll get my meat and then some produce if I have any at Pruitt's in the morning. And then depending on what meat I buy, I'm like, all right, now I got to plan some meals.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to Walmart for the box and bag shit because it is cheaper there.
It is.
For that. And that's kind of how I do my shit now. But yeah, I don't even fuck with their meat or fruits or vegetables, really.
No, I hear you. One thing I do want to bring up for the Ada people, I know some people are worried about their kids, what they're going to do to feed them throughout the summer since they're not in school. I did see
maybe. I feel like people who listen to podcasts and Ada might not.
May not.
I don't know.
But just in case, or if you just want to, grab free food.
Yep.
Between May 21st and August 3rd.
Also, sign your kids up for Angel Tree and Christmas time and just
just get it all.
Get it all.
They are doing free meals, breakfast from 8:30 to 10 and lunch from 11 to 1. Then they're even doing adults can get it for $3. That's pretty dang cheap.
Yeah.
If you can spend just $3 on a meal, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even going and buying groceries, you're still trying to get that $8 to $10 range.
Yeah.
So I did think that was pretty awesome because I have seen plenty of people that gripe about it, but normally those people are also the ones that don't want to help pay taxes and things like that.
Right. It's all one of the same.
Exactly.
I saw this story. I wish I had more details, but I kind of just briefly saw it, and I was busy, and I was like, I'm going to write down this brief thought, and I'll see what I can remember. I want to say it was in New Mexico. There's a private prison that is demanding 300 more prisoners or beds filled, or they're going to shut down. And does that not seem like the most fucked up shit?
So it's like, hey, let's just put a bounty out there that we need to get so many people arrested.
Exactly. So I hate this whole idea. And I was going to bring it up earlier when you mentioned something that also reminded me of it. But I always think of basically life like a video game. And I tried to tell my wife the other day, and she was like, well, that's because they try to make video games like life. And I'm like, you're fucking up my analogies. But I always have thought about it like that. Like, current money is your points or whatever, right? And it's bullshit. Sometimes people get boosts in their points, or they get an easier path to the points, and some people are on a harder difficulty or blah, blah, blah. But like cops in general and all these like laws and things, it's like just we decide to make these rules. And of course you shouldn't murder people, but everyone's like, well, why do you make owning a gun illegal? Then just criminals are going to do it. And you're like, well, why make murder illegal? Then just criminals are going to murder. It's like, because that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
And so from one half of it, I'm like, I get it. And the other half, I'm like, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Agreed.
And it's all bullshit because it's all a giant facade of fake shit. And it's just a system that we all live by. So something makes sense. But when you stop back and you're like, wait, so we have to put how many people why do they have to be in prison? Why do we need prisoners at all? If there's not people doing shit wrong, there's not people doing shit wrong.
Guess what? If you don't have enough to fill the prison, you shut it down, then shut it down.
Right. But then they're going to shut it down, and what happened was, and we watched this documentary a long time ago that I loved about private prisons a little bit, because Tommy Chong was in one and was like, they have me doing slave labor.
Yep. Or like our governor that owns a few of them.
Right. Like they do that, right? And in private prisons, they're like, well, it saves us money because we don't have to build them as a state. And it's like, okay, makes sense. But then something like this happens. So then they're like, we'll shut them down. They're like, okay, well, we have real fucking murderers in these prisons and people that really need to be in jail. So let's go put 300 basically innocent or non-violent drug offenders in jail so that we can keep these other people. It's just a fuck system.
Let's not, just waste 300 people's lives or make them where they are not going to be able to be functioning members of society by throwing them in there with these terribly criminal people.
A moment ago, I went on crazy. I don't even know what I said, but I'll listen back to it in a minute. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
For sure.
I don't know if you saw this story, but I thought it was really good. A 25-year-old was arrested in Dallas, I believe it was, for posing as a 17-year-old basketball player.
Yes, I did see that.
And it's a fun story.
Well, first off, did it last 9 months before they figured it out?
It was because someone from his old high school in Georgia, a coach was like, I know him. And because he was popping up on recruiting boards.
Mm-hmm. Because he said it was because of a hurricane.
He was a victim of hurricane. Which one was it?
Was it Harvey?
Hurricane Harvey. Yeah.
Yeah, that he was a victim of it, and so he had none of his paperwork or anything like that.
Honestly, I would be like, cool, make a movie until they're like, and he was dating high school students.
He was dating a possible 14-year-old girl,
and he was 25.
Yeah. And then he got a felony charge.
And honestly, all of his stats look so weak when you were like, oh, you're playing fucking high school kids at 25.
Yeah,
shit.
it's like, but he ends up getting all conference and all this other terrible stuff. You're like, yeah, man, trying to relive your glory days.
Oh, man, that was great.
I understand people think about wanting to, if they could redo high school, but this dude just did it.
Yeah.
And give it just another month and he would have graduated.
Right.
Again.
I think, maybe I'm alone, a total fantasy of mine or whatever, it'd be like, what if you could just wake up with all your current thoughts, but you were your 16th birthday or whatever age.
Yep.
And I've even thought what if I was in first grade again with everything I knew and I was just a little fucking genius. And I'm really not that smart now, but for fucking a 6-year-old, I'd be real smart.
For sure.
Something like that would be cool.
I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a former Playboy playmate, Stephanie Adams. She was at a New York City hotel.
Donald Trump was there now.
No. No, that would be perfect.
Give it a week.
Yeah. So
they're always trying to put him down, shame his name when he should be respected. Exactly.
Not that, it was in his finances that he actually paid it or anything. But she's on the 25th floor suite. She has her 7-year-old son with her. She decides she's going to step outside of that balcony and jump.
With a kid around?
With her kid.
Well, that's bullshit.
Agreed. That's my whole thing here is if you want to go kill yourself.
Yeah, kill yourself.
Kill yourself. Don't take your 7-year-old son.
Want to watch murder?
I'm just like, that's it. I just find it a little crazy because, again, most people that want to harm themselves usually harm themselves.
Right.
Not harm them and this other child. Obviously, it was instantaneous death jumping from the 25th floor and landing on the second. And so when they showed up and they heard these two loud bangs, they went outside and seen that there was 2 deceased individuals. But there has been no information as to why she jumped. No suicide note, nothing.
Right.
And I'm just like, I know that certain Vegas hotels have bars on their window that don't allow people to jump because people go there and get a huge amount of debt and they don't want them being killed. But when we went, we didn't have that. There was no bars on our window. Right. Maybe it's because it was Hooters and people are all happy there.
Big tits everywhere.
Exactly. But I thought it was a little crazy because, again, most time you see suicides, it's just themselves being injured.
Right.
Unless we're talking about crazy school shootings, which, doesn't happen, but I don't know, once every other month, unfortunately. And I did see a meme, and I don't.
This is America.
Yeah, I don't know who posted it. Terrible, and it definitely is racist. But I understand the point, and it was how long does it take before Congress whatever steps in and actually stops these school shootings, and they go the first black guy to do a school shooting.
Yeah, and
I'm like, that's one unfortunate of the realest truths I think could be said about it.
Well, because. All right, first I'm going to preface this by saying the movie that comes to mind is the movie High School High. Remember that movie?
Okay,
I loved it. They had all the metal detectors where they could go into school. And it was because in these urban communities, they don't have guns in schools because they have fucking metal detectors. You know what they did? They got rid of the fucking guns in schools. They can't have them.
Yeah.
So, we can just keep doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And I was reading this thing about the Santa Fe High School, of course, the most recent one in Houston.
Yep.
It's all the same conversation. yes, it's important to know where they happen, but it's really all the same conversation. Guaranteed, and I haven't watched any news since it happened, really. I guarantee Fox News says it's too early to talk about gun control in a sensitive time like this. And MSNBC are going to be like, we need gun control. Why do we have guns at all? And those are the arguments, right? And that's how it's going to happen. We've talked about it way too much in this podcast for the fact we
So I'm glad you bring that up because, Father's Day is coming up.
Uh-huh.
Academy this week posted on there that reserve your buy one get one free guns for $289 for a pistol, for 2 pistols, or for a .22 rifle. And guess how long it took for them? Because I was like, you know what? I haven't bought a whole lot of crazy stuff. I haven't bought a gun in a while. I'm gonna go ahead and reserve it. This was the 3rd day it was available, completely sold. They have no more reservations for these guns.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, this thought it was a little crazy that. Bad timing, but even though it happened, it still is being...
Right. Well, and I was reading some study that a lot of the gun hoarding, because it's like 46% of the guns are owned by 8% of the population or something like that. Like it's some crazy number, right? And that's not the exact number, it's something similar to that. And they basically, it is a lot by white men that hoard stuff, but it's just people that are... Their job history... isn't great, like they're scared of their security in life, right? Like their financial security. Like those are the type of people who typically hoard guns. Not saying like own a gun in general, but then like all these different stats come up. Like, yes, you do want to protect your family, but the percent of time that someone actually comes in your home where you'll have to use a gun is such a low percentage compared to the percentage of time your kid can find and kill themselves. So it's like, well, sure, it is a thing. And there are percentages stats to back it up. There are these other stats. So, I mean, yeah, people just have to be educated about it. Also, like this school shooter, he's 17, right?
Yes.
Stole his dad's guns.
And it was a revolver and a shotgun.
Okay, revolver, shotgun.
Not an assault rifle
or AR-15, which isn't an assault rifle.
Exactly.
But his dad should be an accomplice to 12 murders. Right?
Agree. I mean, like my gun, it goes into a safe. My kids obviously they're not old
Honestly,
enough,
I'm almost to the point of saying, if you sell someone a gun and they kill someone, you're in a accomplice. Maybe that solves it. Maybe then, because they're like, well, crazy people shouldn't get guns. If a gun shop owner has to know this motherfucker and be like, no, I need to make sure you're not going to kill anybody in a murderous rampage, and he has his own vetted check. Now, maybe some guy's like, fuck it. I take the risk. I sell guns to everyone. Yeah. And that's the risk they take.
Now, I'm going to take the Jesse Ventura argument of, because again, you obviously know me and I still obviously carry my gun right now. Would we then say every car manufacturer that sells a car that someone kills somebody with, that we would also then make them an accomplice?
My only argument ever against this car versus guns, our cars are built and designed to transport things. And that is their main purpose. And a gun's main purpose is to shoot shit. There is no other purpose. It's not like, oh, but it also fillets this fish for me. Or like there's just nothing else it does. So that, to me, that's always not false. But now I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And yeah, the cars are super dangerous. I fucking drive around high school kids every day. And I have this new thought that I think you should have to be 25 years old till you get your license. And maybe that's fucked up. But we now know through science, your brain does not stop developing until you're 25. It's the only reason I regret smoking pot when I did. And I didn't smoke pot till I was 18. But if I would have waited till I was 25, I bet I'd be smarter. So, I don't know. There's a lot of crazy arguments about the guns. And I mean, I totally see what you're saying on the whole car thing, but I don't know. Other countries have figured out, like Australia, what was like a month ago, had their largest massacre in 20 years, and it was like a domestic 7-person, 7 people died since me and you woke up this morning from a gun in America.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if that's a real stat, but I would guess it's true.
Yeah. I mean, it was, it is terrible, but one, and I won't say this is good, but it is good of a person. Again, last time something happened similar, maybe it was the hurricane that J.J. Watt raised. I think it was like $38 million.
Right. See, I have a problem with J.J. Watt publicly coming out, and maybe he did, maybe someone else said it. I just wish J.J. Watt would have paid for these funerals
and not said anything.
And then I didn't get a USA Today update on my phone about it.
And see, that's what I was going to say is that I was trying to look this up because I had that similar thought. There is not one thing that I could find is that he said, whether he posted it on Twitter.
Maybe it was just the school officials.
And it may be, or may have been a parent that just.
I think he's a good guy, but you know what I mean? He's always like, for instance, the hurricane thing happened, and it was like, let's go live with J.J. Watt on the ground. It's like, I mean, he's doing great stuff, but it seems like we're building a brand off a tragedy.
Agreed.
It's weird.
But I mean, touche to him. That is very commending that he would.
Wasn't saying about the Santa Fe High School earlier. They had a school officer. They had done drills for this scenario. They had like these 5 things on this checklist that most people go to on the whole. Well, if you have this, and this wouldn't happen. But they had this, and this, and it did or whatever. So that's crazy. So anyway, you mentioned a Playboy earlier, right? Someone jumping off a building.
Yes.
That reminded me of this random thing I'd saved here. There is a porn star named Asia Carrera, I think's her name. I don't know. I'm not familiar with her work. But she has an IQ of 156, and she received a full scholarship to Rutgers University and double majored in business and Japanese, and was a talented piano player who played in Carnegie Hall by the age of 15. So even with all of that, she still chose to do porn. So that, I just think, for people, it's like people are forced into it, and it's always horrible.
She's really like sex.
I think you could watch her films and not feel any guilt that she was forced into a situation.
So everyone is able. If you have one star you want to go find her.
Yeah, that's just
and just feel good.
Because I think some people probably have a hang up there. Like, I know there's this documentary on Netflix called Hot Girls Wanted, and I haven't watched it, but I've thought about it, and apparently you'll watch it and afterwards be like, I don't know if I should watch certain porn again, because like it just shows the fact like some girls are 18, they want to make quick dollars, and they film like 10 movies in a month, and then consumer in the world sees that over a couple years, but that person's already back home on meth and not getting paid or whatever, right? Like, there's some real fucked up shit going on in that world.
That's
a professional business.
Agreed. I mean, maybe she wanted to get her Ron Jeremy on or whatever.
Dude, Ron Jeremy's movie, what's it fucking called? Anyway, his documentary was really funny.
It is.
It's
good. So one other thing I do want to bring up here is Snappy. I don't know if you've seen this weekend. He went 4-4 in his jiu-jitsu tournament. I don't know what you call it.
4 wins, 4 losses?
Yes, 4 wins, 4 losses. They were supposed to do a tiebreaker on one of them.
But they were all too tired.
Yes, and so there was a 3-way gold. I don't know how that works, because I'm like,
I think they should have cut the medals and then re-welded them.
Get a third
of each medal.
So next time I see Snapper, go, oh, so you just got a participation ribbon?
Yeah, it sounds like a participation trophy to me, motherfucker.
No, I mean, I am.
You all participated in one round, got tired, went home.
Yeah, but I mean, he did well. He did beat a black belt, which I think's impressive in itself.
Again, you should get to take their belt.
Agreed. I mean, he would be a black belt now because he was brown because he beat that dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is awesome. I did watch some of these videos here, and I think I guess it's his son, Colton and Tristan.
Yeah, Tristan.
I just don't know if I know he has
he has a bunch of kids. I don't know.
But no, I just want to say congrats, Snappy. First off, this picture that he's in looks like he's lost so much more weight than the month or so ago that I seen him.
Yeah.
In his gi, I'm just like, man, all of a sudden you're gonna be skinnier than I am. But he beat the black belt. Touche to him. Congrats, man.
Royal wedding happened.
Didn't watch it at all.
Me either. I don't like, and I didn't care at all ever about any of it. But the best thing I saw about it from some guy on Twitter, I think Matt Belassi or some shit, says it took us 241 years, but America has finally infiltrated the British monarchy, and phase 2 of the Revolutionary War can begin.
That's so good. And there's so many memes this weekend about this is the only royal wedding that I watched. I seen anything from Macho Man Randy Savage
Coming to America. Saw one of those.
Yeah, Coming to it. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of good. I saw there's a Reddit thread called Insane People Facebook, where people basically screenshot crazy people on their Facebook, right? And this woman was like, I can't believe he ruined the gene pool with her dirty mud skin or some shit like that, right? And then she was like, it's because he's a ginger and gingers are fucking stupid. It was like this crazy shit. It was like, people care this much? To me, if I lived in England, and maybe this is blasphemy there, I don't know. If I lived there, though, and I was like, wait, so some of our tax money goes to supporting a rich celebrity class of people that actually has no legislative power.
No. Thanks
but
to
we
their
just like them to be our symbol. I would just have a problem with it. It's like I don't have a personal problem with any of them. They all seem nice enough. I just think if us in America were paying for that shit, we'd be
pissed.
No, sir. We get pissed when our money goes to feed fucking poor kids that can't eat.
But you know what?
But we're gonna fucking prop up these rich people. But then again,
I was like, you know what?
What are we doing right now?
Exactly. I was gonna say, you know what? That makes
we
sense.
spend more money on Secret Service right now than fucking they probably spend on all their shit.
Exactly. So I know we talked about this, but Hawaii right now, unfortunately, is going through some serious volcano issues. Jill's brother and his dad lived there.
Right. Jill is your wife, by the way.
Yes, Jill's my wife. And there's pictures of just roads splitting in half due to the magma.
Hot liquid magma.
That's exactly what came to my mind.
Have you heard Mike Myers wants to do a Dr. Evil spinoff?
Really?
Like a new one that focuses where I guess Austin Powers would be in it, but he wants it from Dr. Evil's point of view.
Well, I did
where he's
see,
the main character.
I did see where he came on, maybe it was Jimmy Fallon not too long ago, just randomly as Dr. Evil. And I'm
yeah, I did.
That is awesome that he just, and he has not lost a single touch of that.
I know. I'm a big fan of Austin Powers.
For sure. But one thing I thought was crazy when I was reading this is the lava splatters. So like the little splats that go off.
Right.
I say little.
The fun paint splat.
Exactly. Yeah, they weigh as much as a refrigerator. So it's not like these are little bitty just chunks of little ice coming off.
When you told me that, because you told me that earlier, my first thought went to, was Dante's Inferno the movie?
The book?
Oh, it is a book. But remember, there was two volcano movies that came out side by side.
I remember Volcano that was in, maybe it was Los Angeles where they had to divert it into the ocean.
I'm thinking of that one then. But there was one that came out as well. One had Pierce Brosnan and one didn't. That's all I remember. Dante's Peak. Is that the other
That may be it.
Anyway, we'll figure it out after this. And I was like, man, they've missed out. Because imagine a movie scene where someone's running and a fucking splatter of refrigerator size lands on someone's leg. They would just fall to it would be like the most, oh my God, that's fucking crazy. Yeah. It would just be fun.
It is. And you're right. With Pierce Brosnan is Dante's Peak.
All right. Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, I do feel terrible for them. It does say that the first serious injuries are now coming in from the volcano.
I watched some cars get melted. And my whole thought was like, why didn't anyone move those cars? You could just went over there and driven it to the other side of the street and bought yourself 3 hours.
Yeah, but I mean, that plume of ash that was 12,000 feet high.
Oh, yeah, I'm never going to Hawaii, by the way.
Agreed. I'm just yeah.
I've had this opinion forever that those are fucking volcanoes. I don't.
Well, and this is my thing is
no one learned of Pompeii. In Pompeii,
exactly.
There are people in sculptures jacking off. That's how quick it happened. Or they knew it was happening and started jacking off. There's statues of that.
Maybe that's the only way they could get their rocks off.
Yeah, danger zone.
But what I found crazy is that officials had to literally go house to house to urge people to leave. This isn't a hurricane where
Don't
you
leave
may
my
be
pineapples.
able to ride it out. You know what I'm saying? This stuff is going to burn everything in its path.
I guess I even think of it like a hurricane because we know some people from New Orleans. Or we did. They don't talk to me anymore.
That's true.
No one talks to me from camp. Anyway, and they would be so scared of tornadoes. And I was like, statistically, it's only going to hit 1 acre out
we
of
can just go underground.
Fucking millions of acres.
Go underground for about 30 seconds
We're
and
good.
it's done.
And they'd be freaking out, right? In a hurricane, they're like, we boarded up the windows, went to the second story. I'm like, it's going to hit 100% of wherever that shit tells you on the news is going to hit.
Yeah.
You know it's going to hit it. And you just hung out. But when a tornado comes, you're fucking freaking out. I just always thought it was so strange. And so as soon as that first smoke plume went off that volcano, I'm gone. I'm still
booking
there.
a flight and I'm selling everything. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm going to go, what's the cheapest place to live? Oh, Oklahoma and Kansas? Or
Exactly. We're getting out. Maybe Montana.
Or you move to the mountains and you take on snowboarding, and then you become Johnny Tsunami.
There you go. I don't know. I know there's always active lava going on there, but no, not for me.
Do you know if they're trying to, we have electric cars, right?
Uh-huh.
And Tesla's apparently pretty good. Are they trying to develop electric airplanes, or do they exist? I've never thought about it, but the other day I just thought of it. I was like, because we use airplane tickets are expensive because of fuel.
They are.
Is it just not possible to generate enough power with electricity to? I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure this out eventually.
So yes, there are some.
All right.
Um,
Because I mean, what drones are, right? That's basically what a drone is. It's like an electric airplane, just small.
Speaking of that, have you seen those personalized flying drones that you can get
Sit
on?
in, yeah.
Those things are freaking sweet.
It is pretty cool.
Now, granted, they only fly for I think it's like 30 minutes.
It's like the Jetsons. We're finally here.
Exactly.
We were off by some years, but we're here.
Now, granted, right now they're like over $100,000.
Now, if we can just get our houses on pipes into the sky,
it will be good.
over the toxic
and be able
land.
to just jump down them, head in our little spaceship, and fly
Yeah.
off. But the first thing that came to my mind is when I seen this dude flying, right? Looked like it was a nice, calm day. What if out of nowhere, this big, you're 1,000 feet in the air.
Just like a motorcycle, I say.
And that thing just comes and flips you over.
Hey, motorcycles, rainy days aren't the best. You just got to know when to take it out.
But again, what if it's nice and calm? Because again, Oklahoma, this rainstorm
Oh,
that
yeah.
happened last night wasn't supposed to happen.
You wouldn't fly these things in Oklahoma.
Exactly. It's like, here's
much-
a few states you're not allowed to fly in ever.
Right.
But I was just like, that's a little nuts. Now, granted, I think
Well,
they are awesome.
They wouldn't because they don't run on gas. So we would outlaw them. That's how they would work.
That is true.
All right. Last week I brought up a TV show called Evil Genius, right? And I watched the first 2 episodes. I was like, it was pretty good. I liked quite a bit. And I'm gonna watch the third one because Snappy acted like the third one was good. I watched the third one. Pretty much have no interest in it anymore. I haven't finished it yet. It did start off good, but it's just coming down to like, I think compared to like whatever the fuck the one was with, they got real famous on Netflix last year, Making a Murder.
Making a Murder. Yeah.
Right. Like compared to that or some other ones that are on Netflix, it wasn't that gripping. It was like, oh, some dumb cops got fooled, I guess. And again, I haven't finished it, so maybe there is a big twist coming, right? And eventually I will. But I just last week I said I would let everyone know how I feel about it, and that's where I'm at on it at the moment.
Yeah.
So it started off cool, but now I'm like, I don't really know. And then still playing a lot of God of War, trying to beat it so I can let you borrow it. I'm at a point where I'm like almost to the end. I feel like I have like 1 or 2 missions left. So I was like, well, I'll try to do some of the side stuff. Because then I started looking. I was like, holy shit, there is a lot of side stuff. And I haven't used a guide yet. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll just beat it and then come back. Or beat it, let you borrow it, and then come back to it later so I can play it again. I don't know. We'll figure out how I'm going to do it. But really like it. And then Fortnite, I have completed week 3 challenge.
Heck yeah, man.
All of them, so I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah, I've been.
We gotta maybe mention our epic almost win.
Oh man, it was intense on those duos, sir.
Yeah, so we played duos. We've never won before. We got third once.
Yep.
And we somehow were in second. We're like, oh shit, there's only 2 teams left, and we were both alive at the time. And then you got shot, and then right when you got shot, I killed a girl.
Yep.
On their team. I don't know if it was a girl, but their character was. And then it was me and this other dude left, but he was way up in the air, so we had high advantage like crazy, and I was way down there. And I had a rocket launcher, so I just started firing
shit up.
rockets like crazy, hoping he was gonna fall.
Yeah.
But I never hit whatever he was standing on. And then eventually he killed me, and then we got second, and then I was so pissed. And it was so intense. I was like, I have to have a cigarette because my adrenaline is going nuts.
Nuts. Well, because we started out of nowhere. We both.
Well, I've only won in squads.
Yeah.
With strangers.
Yeah,
That's the only time I've ever won. And so I was like,
Exactly.
I would like to get where me and you could win a duo. But we're not that good at. Here's my takeaway. We're not real good at shooting.
No.
But after we played that, I started a new strategy to get better to where when I played solo, I was going into very densely populated areas. And I was like, well, I just got to do it. And I was fucking killing like 2 or 3 people off the bat. But that's a different mode than like, we're just like, oh, we're running around. And all of a sudden people pop up. We don't have that like, wall, stare. Sniper out, 2 headshot, we're good.
No, and that's the thing is, first I was trying to go with snipers and hunting rifles, and then
the assault rifle's the most consistent.
Agreed, and that's what I have learned. And when I
love the pistols too. I don't know
the
why.
silenced pistols are amazing. But when I finally got that first golden scar and I got like 3 kills that game, I'm like, this is the shit.
Right.
But normally I can only find like the white assault rifles. That just it takes.
Well, if it's a burst, it sucks. If it has a scope, it can suck.
Yeah, especially anywhere that's close because that scope magnifies way too much.
So anyway, we're still enjoying Fortnite pretty well. And I was listening to some video game podcasts that were like, the battle royale genre is gonna burn out. It's gonna burn out quick on us. And my thought, honestly, is this shit's still early access. It's not even fully released. I think the moment, and I know they're probably too late to do this. I would love it if Fortnite had a creative character mode where you made your base guy, but then all these things we're getting were outfits for the character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you got that hat and you got that shirt and all. I think that would be cooler to me than the way they currently do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think they could still do that or whatever. That could probably be a thing they could do eventually. But I think there could be a sci-fi version of one. And Fortnite's hook is that it's this building thing. There can be other ones without, like, I mean, I know PUBG doesn't have the building, but it's more of just a classic shooter. I know Black Ops 4 is going to have a battle royale, which you might like because you like Black Ops, in which it'll have every gun that's ever been in any of the Black Ops games, and like even the RC car and all this shit. And I'm like, that would be really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think it'll probably have legs the same way the same way Team Deathmatch had legs till now from whenever the hell that show's invented in Doom.
Yeah.
I think Battle Royale is going to be just going to be a game mode forever. And there might be some games that come out and that's just all they are is just Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But I think they could do it so much. I think you could do a Pokemon Battle Royale where you go in a damn trainer battle. I mean, like, there's so many things
There's a lot you could do.
And
I mean, I just don't say burning out anytime soon. I think it may, but not in the very
Well,
near
I
future.
think Fortnite definitely has legs because it's like the first huge success. I know PUBG was first, but it hit mainstream, right? Kind of like the World of Warcraft was the MMO, even though EverQuest existed way before it, right? So I think it'll probably keep going for a while.
For sure.
And I like it at the moment. It's good for me because like I've been playing God of War. That's kind of God of War is cool because the story is so good. So I haven't told you about it. It's like when you're on a boat, like eventually you unlock fast travel, but when you're on the boat, there's a guy you have with you. He'll tell you stories, and I enjoy his stories so much. Where he's talking to this kid that I would rather take the boat to get somewhere than fast travel there. And so, like, I mean, I love this game. It's really good, but sometimes I'm like, well, I just want to play something where like I'm gonna go try to kill people, be competitive, and all that. Because God of War, you're competing against computer, right? So it's just a little different. But we have been playing a lot of Fortnite.
That's for sure.
And then, like I said, when I get done with God of War, I think you definitely need to play it.
For sure.
All right. Anything else you got?
I'm good, man.
All right. We'll take a quick break. Hopefully our audio sounds good. It is not fucked because this is our first go. We didn't really test it.
For sure.
All right. And we're back. PowWow.
All right, so if anyone has any questions, suggestions, or corrections, please email us at thepowwowwithmo@gmail.com. That is THEPOWWOWWITHMO@gmail.com.
All right. We do have an email this week from Snappy.
All right.
It says, first of all, I got off work on Tuesday with no podcast. This is the one and only podcast I listen to. Maybe because I know you guys and we have similar backgrounds. I do look forward to this on Tuesdays. So basically, he's upset.
Yep.
We were late. But that shouldn't happen anymore unless like we literally record late because it sounds so far like this is working pretty good.
Yeah.
The new setup. It says a Mother's Day post where I complain about people having to post about their mother. It says he fell in that category I was bitching about, and he did post a lengthy post, but also sent his mom a text and talked to her on the phone as well. And he wasn't doing this for anyone. He was just posting to Facebook. And Facebook to him is just an open blog, and he's funny to share with no research given. Something like that.
Yeah.
So my Facebook annoys you, you can unfollow him. Feel free to click that button. So, I mean, I agree, but I also, because I unfollow people all the time. I have no shame in doing that. But I still think people should be sharing accurate things. I just think, I don't know. I don't see why you wouldn't want to share accurate things. Like, kind of like this whole collusion thing that's coming out, right? Most of it's just the fact that Russians bought all these ads that preach fake shit that got people a little more racist, a little more riled up than they were. That's all it's really saying. People are like, I didn't do that, but I still do believe this, this, and this. And it's like, well, yeah, that was part of the lie. Anyway, I just think people should research it on Facebook just a little bit.
Gotcha.
It says, further, Trump is doing a decent job as far as numbers go. The black unemployment rate is at an all-time low, as well as the overall at 3.9%. My first thought on this is all during the Obama years when the unemployment rate was dropping from the Bush era, everyone said, yeah, that's that unemployment rate, but you're not counting the people that aren't looking for jobs. And I always said, that doesn't make any fucking sense. They're not looking for jobs. They're not unemployed then, because if you're unemployed, you want a job.
Yep.
That was my argument for 8 fucking years. And now, argument I want to go to here is this the real number?
Yep.
Or is this not counting the people that aren't looking for jobs? And it's all just because that's what they've been saying. Everyone's been saying forever. And so it's like, how convenient if we're just going to now use this number and it has full credibility again. Yeah. Anyway, and then it said Trump is a dumbass and he liked Bernie, but he sold out and he would never vote for Hillary. And that Trump was a dumbass on Twitter. So, I think there are probably stats somewhere to show Trump's doing well, but all the early stuff on the economic things were all from Obama's policies. Like you had to wait. I don't remember what it was. It was like 9 months or 10 months, something like that, until anything Trump could do would take an effect. All I know is on his tax plan, and we'll see whenever we go to pay taxes, that it's not going to help the middle or lower class, and it's definitely going to help the rich people. So we're going to see if those rich people, out of the kindness of their hearts, decide to help the less fortunate.
Because of course they will. They've always done that.
Right.
I mean, I do know that some of the tax breaks this year will be beneficial, but I know after this year it completely changes again. So we get 1 year of decent taxes.
Right.
Like I know the child tax credit goes up another $1,000.
And to be completely fair, like I think all Obama did was like, if you make less than this, here's a stimulus package.
Yeah.
And that was cool because I was in college at that time and I qualified. But I don't know if it really did a whole lot. I mean, it did put that money back into the economy. I mean, I got like a PlayStation or whatever I bought with it.
Yep.
So that was great for me personally. But I don't know, because I'm not an economist, what the actual benefit of any of this stuff was. All right, so we didn't really talk about a story, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the first time I got arrested in college.
Okay.
We'll get that one out there. No, you were there the second time.
Oh, no, excuse me, the second time.
Yeah, we'll get to that one too. That one's even better. But we have to go through these to get to that one.
That's true.
So, I told a story of me and my friend Dew and my friend Jonathan getting pulled over for drinking and being out late, right, when we were in high school. So those two were going to go to college with me here in Ada, and they didn't, each different reasons. So I ended up coming here alone, and then I had a room to myself, like a whole, like 2-person room, but I just had both beds in there, me. And I didn't have a suite mate for like the first month because Jonathan was going to be my suite mate, and then he just never showed up, right? So then they put these 2 basketball players in there, and I will say these are the only, and this is probably super racist to say, really stereotypical. They're the only 2 black people I'd ever met that weren't cool with pot.
Yeah.
At least up to that point in my life. Maybe I've met people since then that aren't, and I'm not trying to say they all are, but in my life, that's just how shit's gone.
Yeah.
And I would smoke some pot in my room, because I didn't have any friends. I went to college not knowing anyone, and I'm not the like most open person. For sure. So I just sat in my room basically and smoked some pot. And I remember them getting pissed once and asking me not to. And I was like, oh, my bad, guys. And so I just like started opening my window, right, and blowing, make sure I blew it out my window. And one day, I also had a job at this time in the math department on campus. I still did the whole time I went to college. So anyway, I went at lunch one day. There was this one black dude, I wish I remembered his name, but I cannot, that I've become fairly good friends with because he smoked pot, and I was trying to freestyle here and there by myself, and that dude freestyled a little bit, right? And so, anyway, me and him were cool, and there were these 2 other white dudes in the dorm. Now, I want to say their name was like Matt and Adam or something to that extent, and they were cool enough, but they were good friends. And then one day at lunch, me and I'm going to say this black dude's name's James, because for whatever reason, that's what comes to my mind.
Gotcha.
So me and James were like, we're going to go smoke back of the dorm. Do y'all want to smoke? And these guys were like, sure. And they came and smoked, and we watched Half Baked, because I had Half Baked in my dorm, right? And then I had to go to work. And I was like, well, I'm going to work. Y'all can finish this movie. I went back to work. While I was at work, the cops came and arrested them 3 for smoking pot in the dorms. And then, of course, they all ratted me out and said it was all mine. It was all me. They had nothing to do with it. To me, if they're watching Half Baked in a dorm room, they probably had something to do with it.
Yeah.
And again, I just was not the type that would, if I got arrested and caught, I would be like, yep, it's mine.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am.
For sure.
So.
Agreed.
I get to the cafeteria after work for dinner, and everyone's like, these fuckers got arrested in the dorm. I was like, where was that? And they're like, the 2nd floor in the football wing. And I didn't play football, but that's where I was at.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. All right. So when I get back to the dorms, everyone's staring at me. And then I go to my room and like all my shit's flipped everywhere. And then there's a list of everything the cops took. And I was pissed because I just found out toppers existed 2 days before, and I'd bought my first pipe that I bought myself, and I was so excited about it, and it was gone, taken by the police. And anyway, they took all my shit, right? And then a cop came at like 5 o'clock and was like, well, we don't have a warrant to arrest you, but we'll be back in the morning. And I was like, okay. So this time I called my mom, and up until this point, we play this fun game of like, I'm a good kid. And she pretended like that was also the case. And then I had to call her and tell her this. And I'll be honest, my first thought, I actually called Jonathan first because he was a crazy wild man.
Yep.
He was like, let's go to Mexico tonight.
That seems about right.
And then, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, because I've been pretty open that I have way too many suicidal thoughts. I was like, what if I just bought like 30 Tylenol and took them all? And this is for getting smoking pot. But to me, this is the dangers of it being fucking illegal and how illegal it is in this state. Right? Yeah. It was just like I was very scared. But anyway, I called my mom, and she flipped fucking shit. You know my mom. Got very mad. She was like, we're going to come up there right now. So they drove up here, got a hotel room, stayed in this hotel room. They called a lawyer. We got a lawyer. Lawyer called the place. They're not going to come arrest me. They'll just bring me up there tomorrow and all this shit. And then the people's parent, the white kid's parents, like Matt's parents were cool as shit about it. They were totally understanding. Adam's parents were like fucking freaking out.
Yeah.
Pissed, wanting to fight me and shit. And I was like, well, your son shouldn't have been fucking in the room. I don't know what to tell you. I don't fucking tell you. I'm just fucking 18, smoking pot in fucking college. I don't think I'm that fucking rare of a person that exists. But like, I was being treated like a fucking monster. So anyway, I never went to court on that. Ever. It got scheduled. And then I had to move. I got kicked out of the dorms, obviously. And when I got kicked out of the dorms, I moved to a place right by campus in this little garage apartment. And a block away from me one night, I hear a gunshot, and this girl got shot. Because of that girl getting shot, they put off, like, I was on indefinite hold.
Yep.
My case. And then my attorney, who is now a judge here, he just goes, just don't get arrested again, and we're never going to bring it up. And therefore, they just never scheduled me to go back to court over any of that.
Yep.
So that's my first arrest, and I successfully did not smoke pot. Let's see, that was in September of college. My first semester of college, September, I get arrested, and then I somehow don't drop out. I stay in school. I should have dropped out, honestly, to deal with it all, but I was like, I'm gonna stay because I'm never going home. Was my whole thought process. Yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to think. I think I made it until, let's see, you came in August, and by then, so I'd say I probably made it to about March of the next year, where I didn't smoke any pot. I remember coming home on Christmas break that first year, and my friends that were still in high school paid me money to come over and roll them joints. And I would roll their joints, and they were like, you're not smoking? And I was like, no, I can't. I got arrested, and I'd fucking go home.
Yep.
But then eventually, fucking Anthony Logan across the goddamn hall knocks on my door and goes, do you know where to buy pot? And I go, I do. And then after that,
that was the beginning of the end.
That'll be arrest number 2 on the next time.
Yeah, it will. Because he was there on the second one.
All right, so this week I really enjoy our top 5 list that we have. When we came up with the idea, I want to say Rusty sent it in, or he sent one in similar enough, and I changed it slightly. I don't remember how this worked. It has me think we could have made this into 3 separate categories.
Agreed.
But we're just doing top 5 TV shows that we want another season of.
Yeah.
So theoretically, they're over canceled, or else why would you want another season? But doing this list, I could have done top 5 that were canceled too early. I could have done a top 5 that ran their course, but I want like a Roseanne reboot set in the future. I mean, I think it could have went a lot of different ways, but this is just kind of a combination of all of it for our list.
For sure. So my number 5 to start the list is going to be My Name is Earl.
Okay.
Okay. So the final season, it ended after the 4th season, and it ended with the to be continued. You don't know who Earl Jr.'s father is yet. Earl obviously hasn't finished his list. And so the writer for it, I guess Greg Garcia is his name. He was asked the studio, if he can finish it on a cliffhanger, because he would be able to finish the next season. He was originally told yes.
Right.
After it was filmed, that's when they told him, we're not going to continue it anymore.
And that was on NBC, right?
I believe so.
And I think NBC,
it was NBC
around that time, it was like they were canceling a lot of shit. And
yeah. So basically, and he came out with this afterwards, because people wanted to know, what was your plans to end it? Did you have Earl finishing the list? And he goes, honestly, no. What he had planned on doing was first revealing who Earl Jr.'s father was, which we never know and he never says.
Right.
They thought about making it some celebrity person, because obviously none of Earl's kids were actually his kids. Some of them were crab bands and whatever. But what it was is he was going to run into somebody throughout his list that actually had created his list because he had done something bad to Earl. And where it turned was that because of him going about this list trying to correct things, it then made a bunch of other people create lists to then rectify their wrongs.
Right.
And so
I pass it on, if you will.
Yeah, once he realizes that it started this chain reaction to help people, that was enough for him, and he was going to rip up his list and ride off into the sunset, and that would be it. So I am glad that was eventually told. I just would like to have seen maybe if he had that 5th season, maybe he would have twisted it a few other things.
It was fairly funny. I mean, my quick takeaways on My Name is Earl. I always thought that the chick, his wife, Jamie Presley.
Yeah.
I always thought she was super hot from Joe Dirt and before. So I was always like, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
My Name is Earl. Now, because we love Trailer Park Boys so much, and I always thought My Name is Earl kind of just ripped them off.
An American version.
It was like an American sitcom version of this mockumentary Canadian trailer park show.
Yeah.
And so a part of me is always like, I kind of dock them for not being super original. Mm-hmm. But I did enjoy watching it because I think we just banged out all of them one summer.
Yeah, I think we did.
And so, and it was good. And I like Randy, is that his brother's name? Like, I enjoy all the characters. Crabman's great. I think it's a fun story. But I always just in the back of my mind was like, it's just a less raunchy Trailer Park Boys.
And it is. And speaking of Trailer Park Boys, it came from like that cult style of people watching too. Now it has really exploded.
Right.
But I agree with you. I do think it was a slight ripoff. I've watched a few episodes here and there, and it is still funny. It's kind of like Trailer Park Boys. Now, granted, with Trailer Park Boys,
just more of the blue collar humor.
Agreed.
But it's like making fun of blue collar humor, whereas like the Jeff Foxworthy, he's like, I'm in on the joke. Where My Name is Earl is kind of like the joke's on you.
Exactly.
But not always.
Not always.
Yeah.
And it is just, it was a good premise.
Kind of like Trailer Park Boys. You're like, they're making fun of these people. They're not real. I don't know.
I mean, Trailer Park Boys, to me, is in its own little class. But yeah, I did like the show. I would have liked to have seen that 5th season of what actually happened. I'm glad they kind of wrote about it. But again, I think that's kind of his basis. But again, you never know. He may have changed his mind as he was writing, as he would have been writing that 5th season. But I wish I could see one more season of it. It would be nice.
Right. All right. My number 5 is a show that me and my wife in particular really liked. Really, really liked this show. And I think you watched it as well with us at the time. I want to say it's when we lived in the one apartment. Anyway, it's called Outsourced.
Yep.
And the basic premise was it was Indian Office. Now, I've come around because I read this article on The Ringer this last week to where I'm now like, no, The Office is my all-time favorite show because I've just rewatched it. I'm about to restart it again. Like, I just
Office is
love
amazing.
it. So anyway, Indian Office was basically a white guy goes over to an Indian call center and he has to be the manager of all these Indian people. And a lot of them you've seen in a lot of stuff now. Yeah. But it was like this all-star comedic Indian team, right? I don't know. They were just really fucking funny, and every episode was great.
It was good.
I learned a lot about Indian culture in that little half season that it was on. Now I think it was cliche that like the hottest Indian chick was gonna try to hook up with the main white guy. I was like, I don't know about all that, but my wife really liked the show, and when we found out it was canceled or not coming back, whatever, I remember being like fucking pissed because I was like, God damn it, I love this one. Whereas in like Superstores on TV now, and it's like The Office set in a Walmart is their quick pitch, right? And it's pretty good, and they keep that shit going. It's not great, but it's all right. Whereas I'm like, man, Outsourced was so good, so I wish they would have kept that going. So if I could have got one more season of Outsourced, I would have really liked it. And I think it's on Hulu. I believe if anyone is curious and wants to watch one season of a good show that should have kept going.
For sure. So my number 4 is a show that you started watching a little bit with me and then kind of fell off. Just they made so many mistakes, in my opinion, but it could have been good, and I wish they would have been able to wrap it up better, which is Revolution. That was with the nanotechnology.
Yeah.
So it had a great premise.
See, it did and it didn't. And I think if you restarted from scratch with just that premise, you could have told a good sci-fi story, but they very quickly make it so cheesy. I mean, I don't know if it's the cheesy and corniness, because there was a little bit in that. But they very quickly are like, these guys look the exact same, 20 years apart. And you're like, all right. And then it's like, oh,
they
now
threw,
this
they
works.
threw a little beard on them. And
right, or it's like, or now this works because of this. Like, they just seemed, it was like the Lost issue. They were making shit up, but like in season 1.
Yes. And so, I mean,
they didn't have a good plan, I guess.
The reason I wanted to see it is...
Oh, and I guess I should say the basic premise of this show is nothing electronic works.
Yeah. So what happens is, and what you find out is that the U.S. government created these nanobots that would stop all electricity from happening. But they were the ones who wanted to originally control this. One of the main guys who's off of Stargate SG-1, he's trying to warn his family and warn people that this is about to happen, because the DOD is the one who originally created this. And then they made these little bitty, I don't know what you call them, little bitty pocket looking things that could then bring, it works with the nanotechnology to bring electricity back in those few areas. So the thing that I thought was a little nuts is Monroe, which he had, because this is point there became factions in the United States. Certain ones like the Georgia Republic.
That was the thing that was interesting, and it's kind of the thing that's interesting in The Walking Dead that they never got into before I quit watching. And it's interesting in like High Man in the Castle, all these other shows. Like, what would the U.S. look like if it broke up into different territories? That's a cool idea.
And so, and Monroe was just basically a terrible person, and he tortured people, ended up raping this woman who was a friend, his best friend's sister-in-law, killing her son.
Well, it was a soap opera.
It was, and it got a little absolutely crazy, but there was so many times where they could have made the show so much better, but in the end they bring the Patriots.
To me, if we're redoing this, because I think, I mean, we can change this list a little bit. We don't want another season. I say we scrap everything that exists. So you start just the idea of no electricity because the U.S. government wiped it out or whatever. And then you put this on an HBO, Showtime, Netflix.
Yeah.
And you did go real hard, dark edge to it. And I feel like it's a better show. But this went from like colorful, cheery to dude raped somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, and there was just so many ups and downs that
it was weird.
Like I said, I wanted to.
That's why I quit. I think between season 1 and 2.
You did, and a lot of people
did.
No,
I'm not doing this.
Because it had a lot of hype. Because the first probably 3 or 4 episodes were really good, and then it just took a crazy turn. The reason why I would like to see another one is because at the end the nanobots team up with what was then the Patriots, who were America, who went to Cuba while all this crazy stuff happened. Because our president goes, you know what? I know what's going to happen. We're going to let all these people fight, and then they go and nuke people.
All right.
And so they nuke like Georgia's Republic. Monroe's Republic got destroyed.
Say the black dude in the show, he's also on the Get Down on Netflix. He was really good. And that, I think, is another thing. He was such a good actor compared to whoever the main guy, shit actor.
Yeah, he plays in he's the dad in Twilight.
Yeah, and he's also on an episode of Gilmore Girls. Yeah, I watch How It Could Be, and I was like, I hate that fucker. Anyway.
But yeah, I wish they would. The only reason I wanted is because I wanted them to see what happened when they teamed up with him. Are they going to destroy the entire world? Because this didn't just affect the United States; it affected the entire world, even though the United States created it, which makes sense. Right. They're like, yeah, we finally got world domination.
Well, we have military bases all over the world.
And then Monroe at one point at the beginning finds the ability to be able to fly helicopters, which obviously people have like flintlocks and knives. Right. And then you go to someone's got a helicopter and it's like, yeah, we're just going to kill people, which is how the sun gets killed. But I just wish they would have wrapped up a little bit better.
I now wonder, I know you haven't played it, but Horizon Zero Dawn, because it's a kind of a similar premise where it's like all in the future and they're like a medieval technology, but your main character finds some electricity. I think it's a better premise on it. Instead of not having electricity, it exists. No one just knows how to use it, and then that character does, right?
Yeah.
So I think they could probably redo it. All right. My number 4 is a show that you will like a lot. I'm going with Stargate Universe.
Yep.
Stargate Universe is honestly probably my favorite of the Stargates.
For sure.
it is more like Lost, like Stargate, more as far as like the storytelling mechanics. It's like a little more less corny, more realistic, like handheld camera mode and shit. Anyway, Stargate Universe was filmed really smartly. They filmed the first 2 seasons all at once because they got a deal from Sci-Fi, and the first 2 seasons make a perfect story arc or whatever, right? And I really hope everyone goes out and watches all the Stargates because we love them. We think they're great. But at the very end of Stargate Universe, basically, and I don't think this spoils any of the shit that happens, they all get in these pods. They get cryogenically frozen because they know they have to go into like low power mode to make it to the star. So they're going to cryogenically freeze themselves so they'll still age or whatever, and then they'll pop out when they power up.
Yep.
Perfect way to end the show if you're familiar with the way, the mechanics of all the ships work and shit. And they did it because they didn't know if they were going to get picked up. And they didn't. They did not get picked up anymore, so it's not going to... But even now, like, so they could have done it where they went back that next year and opened it up, and they looked all about the same. They could go back right now and be like, all right.
Because even though you're cryogenically frozen, you're still going to age.
Right, at least in the way theirs work.
Yep, how theirs does.
And so, I don't know, it just seemed... I think they aged a little more slowly, but still. It was really cool, and I just really wished it would come back. I really liked Stargate Universe a lot. They try to flesh out more of the ancient backstory of the Stargate universe.
Yeah.
Their main character is like a video game guy that doesn't have any fucking credentials to do anything.
He beat the video game.
Right.
Which
It starts
is why
off with there's a video game, and then he's the first one that beats this online game, and then the Air Force shows up at his door, and they take him up to a spaceship, and they're like, "You're coming with the," and all this craziness ensues.
And then Rush is the craziest dude of all time.
And Rush is why my wife does not like Universe. She's like, why the fuck?
What's he play on Once Upon a Time?
Rumpelstiltskin.
That's what it is.
I've never really watched that show because it looks interesting, but then I try and I'm like, I don't like it.
A little weird,
But anyway, Dr. Rush, I really like him, but Koopy hates him, and he is intense. He's intense the whole time.
And he just knows more stuff than what he tells people because he finds the room, doesn't tell him. He's like, why do I need to tell you yet? I was going to wait till I found this and this out.
So anyway, I really enjoy it. Now I think like the main heartthrob guy or whatever is kind of boring, and the hot chick is probably not hot enough.
Yeah, and I like, in my opinion, what is
the black dude. The black dude's cool
because he's like, I don't give a shit. We're just here to fly around. I'll kill you.
I think that might be where they messed up is they didn't have a straight up alien.
No,
the other successful Stargates had an alien.
They all had at least one. At least what we would consider an alien, not of Earth.
Right.
No, it doesn't have to be some, symbiote inside of you style person, but it needs to be something that's a little different.
And I guess they just didn't have a breakout star, except if you say Dr. Rush, because he after that kind of did.
Yep.
Whereas in Atlantis had Jason Momoa. That was like their big breakout.
I've seen so many memes of him going from lifeguard.
Baywatch.
It's so awesome. Yeah. It is pretty good. So my number 3 is going to be Alcatraz. It only had 1 season.
Okay. I mean, I remember the name. I don't remember any of who was in it or when it was on or anything.
And I never remember his name. He's the guy. He's off of Jurassic Park. That doctor, who is the, I don't want to say paleontologist.
Hold on. I always think of the name by going to Pineapple Express. Jeff Goldblum impression. Jeff Goldblum.
No.
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 The doctor off Jurassic Park.
No, the other guy, Jeff Goldblum and this other guy, the one who's digging up the dinosaurs. At the beginning, he digs up the Velociraptor.
I don't know his name. I don't think.
Anyways, I don't remember that guy's name.
Yeah,
and Hurley's in it as well. Which is why I originally liked it, because this was shortly after Lost was done. It happened, I think, in 2013.
Yeah.
But basically, what it was that there was this lady that was investigating a murder, and she finds prints from a guy and a recent murder from a guy who apparently died in Alcatraz like 30 years prior, 40 years prior, and it doesn't make sense.
But he escapes.
Well, and then they find him, and he never aged.
Yeah.
And then they find there's other people, and then throughout the first season, you find out. And they never fully.
Oh yeah, actually, I do remember you watching this.
Yeah, and
because I remember a couple of these episodes. Because my first thought was like, "What the fuck is it called Alcatraz?" If it's about people aging, but it was everyone. A lot of different people at Alcatraz.
It was prisoners
like
at
an
Alcatraz
experiment or something.
Yeah, and it happened, and it sent them into the future, and that's where they came out because they're literally the exact same age of the same people that was in back in the 60s or whenever.
Right.
And so their job is to find all of these people.
Who paid them?
Huh?
Government pay these people, these employees, or
No, they never get in. It only had one season. There wasn't enough even really for the whole entire premise to be done, except for, there's Alcatraz prisoners.
Like, I mean, there's a lot of shows out there where it's like, well, our job now is this. And it's like, but who's
paying you?
Who's paying y'all to do all this stuff?
And so then they're using Alcatraz as a base for a while, and they really didn't ever get to finish what they wanted to start. Now, granted, I think it said for the first 3 episodes it had super high ratings, and then by the end it had half of the ratings of what the first started with. So that's why they ended up canceling.
But again, and that's also like if a show launches right now, a lot of TV networks understand that more because of the way streaming is and stuff. Like streaming has taken out numbers. Like more people watched the last episode of MASH than like anything ever because there was like 3 channels.
Yeah. And
so like you just can't do those numbers. There's too many. There's fucking 300 channels or whatever. Like
you're never gonna get those anymore.
I ain't even gonna watch any of those. I'm gonna go to Netflix or on Hulu or wherever I'm at.
Agreed. So I mean, I just wish they would have kind of capped it off a little bit more. Now, granted, the main character, the chick, she was just blah to me.
Right.
That was the only downfall I had for it.
All right, my number 3. This is gonna be my Roseanne wish sort of style. Like I want it aged up to about. Well, we're one of the. I'll just say I want to be King of the Hill.
Love it.
I want King of the Hill to come back.
Love it.
I want Bobby to be my age, or like at least 25-ish.
Okay.
And have a kid, and then Hank's like disappointed in Bobby's fatherhood skills. I just think that's fucking perfect.
That's so good.
And the reason why, I guess, because when King of the Hill first came out, like I was Bobby, whatever. Like I was in Oklahoma instead of Texas.
Yeah.
But I was like kind of a nerdy. I mean, I was way more athletic than Bobby, I guess, but I didn't identify with that. Like, I enjoyed the way Bobby was like nerdy and was like, I'm gonna dance. It's like just funny. I don't know. I liked Bobby a lot, and he was around all these fucking conservative people, right? Yep. Like his whole family, and I just really enjoyed the Bobby character in King of the Hill, and I would love to see him as an adult. Maybe he married the neighbor girl, or whatever. And you could still have all the people.
Khan's daughter.
Old. Right. I just think it would be great. I would really enjoy, even if it was one season, of a basically Bobby Hill all grown up.
No, I think it would be awesome. I forgot. What's the Indian guy's name on there? John Redcorn.
Yeah, John Redcorn.
I want to know if he's still sleeping with Dale Gribble's wife or not.
Right.
Just all that craziness and, what's the grandpa's name? Cotton. Is he still alive? Because I feel like he's still got to be alive.
Oh, yeah, he has to be.
You know what I mean? Like,
he killed 50 men. He ain't going to fucking die from old age.
He'd be like, them damn.
Like, if we could ever get Sideshow on the podcast, I just want him on.
So
because he does a spot on Hank Hill.
Like, I don't know how you say it, but it's better than Hank Hill.
It is.
I mean, don't know.
There are times. Like, there's certain episodes it's not.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch King of the Hill, you can tell, like, some voices are a little different in the beginning than towards the end. So, like, Sideshow does a perfect, like, what it became Hank Hill.
Yeah.
But when you watch the early episodes, you're like, he sounds better than that. Even though it's like the real guy's voice.
Exactly. So no, that's a great choice. So my number 2 is going to be a show that you actually introduced me to, and that's going to be Deadwood.
Okay.
It ended after the 3rd season. There was even a campaign to save the show that fans had created. And they've still talked about it. I know you had mentioned that they had still thought about making a movie.
There's been recent rumors again.
But it's been 10 years now.
Yep.
It's kind of like Entourage if they make it. I think
those guys were running a long time to get here.
Nonstop.
By the way, it ends on people stampeding in the town. So you'd have to explain some crazy age gap.
Like maybe that this happened, and so now we're at this point. But I mean, it goes from a gold mining town to an actual functioning town.
Right.
In my opinion, Swearingen is definitely the best character.
Him or the Asian.
Swearingen.
Well, and then
with his pigs.
I can't remember his name, but the guy who's Kenny Powers' brother on Eastbound and Down.
Yes.
He's pretty good on it. Timothy Oliphant's good. I mean, everyone's good. It's a really good show. The reason I didn't put it on my list is because it would have to be we'd have to be able to go back in time and then make season 4.
Yeah.
Like at that time, because it couldn't bring it back or keep it going, which I guess that's how a lot of these are. We're like, well, if it would have just kept going. So if they could have done one season back then, that would have been cool, because I don't even like Western stuff, and I really enjoyed it.
Agreed. Now, I do know, because when I was looking this up, that the series creator David Milch was offered to make a 6-series show, 6-episode series, a mini series to finish it off. And he said he wasn't going to accept that. I'm like, man, just accept it and wrap some of this up a little bit.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. But he says he didn't want to accept it. We couldn't have done the work the way that he wanted it. He says he didn't want to limp home. I really got entrenched into that show. I was very disappointed at the end of how I'm like, come on, that looked like it was going to be an awesome scene.
Right.
Going to see some fights go on. And it was really great from beginning to end. If you haven't seen it, even though it is only 3 seasons, I do suggest watching it because it was pretty good.
It was good. I agree. All right. My number 2 is a show I'm sure you haven't seen. It came out like 2 years ago. It only got 1 season, but it was called The Brink.
Sounds familiar, but
has real good star-studded cast. Jack Black's in it.
Okay.
It was an HBO show. It also has a dude who plays Porn Stash and Orange the New Black.
Oh, really?
He was on The Wire. He's the one of the main characters. But it's kind of like a parody on politics and military. If you have HBO Go or have any way of watching The Brink, like, I just highly recommend it. It was so fucking good. It was like perfect parody satire in the kind of Naked Gun sort of way. Like, it's trying to be serious, or it's acting like it's serious, but when you actually hear what they're saying, it's so obvious that they're making fun of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So I don't remember the exact storylines. It's been a while, but like the Porn Stash guy, he's on a naval carrier, right? Because like he's an airplane pilot, and he's selling all of his Adderall to people on the ship because he's like a drug kingpin. But then when he has to go out and fly a mission, he gets too fucked up on morphine, and then he crashes in the middle of the Afghanistan people. It's like, it's a comedy, but it's still like a military story, right? And then so he has his storyline, and there's this old guy, I can't remember the actor's name, and he's like the Secretary of State, and he's trying to get shit passed. So you kind of see the high level plays, and then Jack Black works at like the embassy in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Actually, one of the people off of that Indian show is in Brink.
Yeah, actually, I know you're talking about. So anyway, Brink is really good. I mean, it was the most recent show that I was pissed when it didn't get another season. I was like, because the quality was so high. I mean, it was better than anything I was watching at that time. And I was like, unless Jack Black's like, I'm too busy or something, I don't understand how you're not making more of it. Like, it was just so good for that time period.
For sure.
And I think if it's being made right now in the Trump era, it would keep going because it has like a political leaning. And maybe it's because in the Obama era, people didn't care as much about the politics going on, or at least the HBO viewer didn't. Anyway, I recommend The Brink, and if they had another season, I mean, I'd want them to have like 12 more seasons, but I would take one more season.
For sure. So my number 1, these last 4, they canceled on some sort of cliffhanger or missing something.
Right.
The last one was actually finished with the movie, and that's Stargate SG-1. What happened at the end of the 10th season? The last episode, it was actually a kind of a little time bubble that they get in because they're getting chased down by the Ori. Hallowed are the Ori. And so they have all of the Asgard gave them all of their stuff, and then their planet blew up because, well, they knew that they wasn't going to come back from the degradation of their cloning
species. Yeah.
Yep. And so the Ori were going after them because they knew they were the next biggest threat, right behind themselves. And then so they took out like 5 or 6 ships when they blew up their planet and gave all of the Earth people their technology. However, they could then be tracked by the Ori based on that technology. They were able to get out of this time bubble and figure it out. Then at the end of the 10th season, you just know that they're still fighting the Ori until they finish it.
Well, we do know that the Ori still exists in Stargate Atlantis, because Stargate Atlantis went 3 seasons past. So that timeline exists. So you would know what happened in the next 3 years, theoretically.
Yeah, and so they still went on, and then the Arc of Truth movie came out. And what happens is they know that there is this, it's literally a box that the ancients had created, the actual brothers and sisters of the Ori, had created, that tells them what the Ori are, that they're completely lying. So their goal is to show to all of their, I forget what of their priors is what they're called. And so that they could then, and in the movie, they end up doing that. It was just it was such a shortly condensed, I mean, it's a movie, it's an hour and a half long.
And it's Ex Machina, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, here's the answer.
Exactly, and it's like I wasn't a fan of that. I wish they would have actually went through the whole process because, like you mentioned, in Atlantis, we're still fighting them. We make some headway. We're falling off on some.
Right.
But I do wish they had another full one season.
Well, to me, I think this is why Star Universe is so cool. Is they kind of got to reset it all.
Agreed.
It was just like everything's good. I mean, there wasn't. They were still the Lucian Alliance. Is that what they're called?
The Illusion Alliance.
There was still a holdover, but that was basically the only holdover from the other shows. And then, honestly, because we watched the Universe first season before we watched the other ones, and we were like, "Who the fuck are these people?"
Exactly.
And it makes so much more
Well,
sense.
and then after you watch SG1, you're like, "Oh, okay." So because we destroyed the gold, we actually created this thing that ends up almost killing us.
Right. So
20 years later.
So that was cool. I mean, I like SG1 a lot. I personally, if I was being choosy and I had all my wishes, I would love to make a good SG1 video game.
Oh, it could be so awesome.
And I had a new idea recently. Even though Daniel Jackson's my favorite, he goes away for one season. They bring that fucker, right? That we don't. I mean, he's all right, but he's not great. Instead of that, I think you should be able to create a character that fills in after, and then like the game takes place in that time period. I think that'd
Jonas
be a cool
Quinn.
Game. Jonas, yeah. He was on something I watched the other day, and I was like, "Oh, it's fucking Jonas." But anyway, I think Stargate has a lot of video game titles. Same with earlier mentioned Revolution.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of these that they just shouldn't have been TV shows.
They should have been a great video game.
Right. Their stories aren't thought out well enough to make you be like, oh, perfect. But they're good enough to be like, cool world. I want to explore that. If that's what the story says, it probably should be a video game.
I mean, could you imagine, especially people who made like No Man's Sky, just getting into a Stargate and then going to
No Man's Sky is probably not the best example because it didn't do well. I enjoyed it, but
I just meant like in the version that they could just go to all these other planets.
We're gonna take a tangent here. So No Man's Sky, everyone hates on it because it's like just planets and then they all are basically the same. I think it could be the coolest shit in the world if they would have made that and then released it to like so many, like they hired 1,000 people or whatever that are like already mod creators, popular online, paid them money to be like, all right, take a section and make something. And then people just built worlds on these fucking infinite planets. So at least you could have come across something and done quests and things like that. Because, right, I mean, I platinumed No Man's Sky, so I did like it, but it was very repetitive. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
In Stargate, you'd have to have a cool story, but I just think you could make a good game out of Stargate.
Could you imagine just using the 10 seasons?
Right.
You can make, I mean, that's hundreds
and
and hundreds
you
of
could
hours
just keep the 4 main people, and then you could do it Marvel Ultimate Alliance style, where you switch between them or co-op it. Right? I mean, I just think there's a lot that you could have done with that, but I think MGM's real weird about their Stargate license, and they don't, because there is a mobile game, but it's shitty from what I understand.
Very. So, I tried. It was, and you only can stay in Stargate space.
Nah, yeah, it sucks. Okay, my number one is different than the rest of mine, and I'm going with the Chappelle Show.
Okay.
Because in the perfect world, he wouldn't have quit middle of season 3. Now, maybe it wasn't going to be good. And in this one, I guess I'm talking about, I want Dave Chappelle currently right now.
Okay.
No, I want Dave Chappelle 5 years ago when Charlie Murphy was still alive.
All right.
To have made the comeback then with a run of the Chappelle Show so Charlie Murphy could be on it. I just love Dave Chappelle. But I know it has to be now when he's made his recent comeback. I just really enjoy him. I enjoy his outlook on pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Chappelle Show, I mean, came out when I was in high school, and it's hard to overstate how big of a deal it was. Yeah. Like in a small ass country ass white town that I lived in, fucking everyone watched Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
We didn't even have Comedy Central on our cable. Like, you had to go to a friend's house who had satellite to watch it, and everyone watched it. It came on DVD. Everyone bought it. Like, everyone referenced it, and it was cool because right before that, Get Her Done was everywhere, and I was so over Get Her Done.
Yeah.
But then I'm Rich Bitch became the new thing, right? And it was awesome. So I just really liked Chappelle Show. It was amazing. I would take another season of the Chappelle Show.
For sure. That's a great choice, man.
All right. I have quite a few honorable mentions. I don't think you had any.
No.
So I'll try to be quick. Rob and Big, if they could have not had their little breakup, and I know we got Fantasy Factory, but Rob and Big was awesome, and I would have loved that just gone on forever or whatever. Entourage could have just never ended and just kept going on. And right now, Vince could be an argument, we get hit with Me Too movement accusations. Or maybe one was guilty and one wasn't, so you could show both sides of it.
Yep.
Undeclared.
That was a great
But it would
one.
have to be like go back in time, uncancel it, and keep it going. But if we do that, we probably don't get Super Bad or 40-Year-Old Virgin or any of these movies we love. If you're unfamiliar, Undeclared was Judd Apatow's thing after Freaks and Geeks.
Yep.
Had Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, had fucking everybody.
Charlie
Hunnam.
Yep.
From Sons of Anarchy. It's really, really funny. I think it's on Netflix as well, so you can always. It's only 17 episodes, but they're good
for sure.
The OC, I think
it's a great one.
They could have just kept going where they were because I didn't care about the Marissa character or whatever. I didn't like her ever. Misha Barton's character.
He went a little nuts after she died,
for sure. But they could bring it back just right now, where Seth and Summer are having a. Well, they wouldn't be able to have a kid, but they could have like a young kid and adopt a kid. And Benjamin, right? And then the other guy would come around. I just really enjoyed the OC. Maybe it was because it was the first like teen soap opera I got into or whatever, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It always looks pretty in their shots. Kind of like Lost. Like a big appeal of Lost is the fucking settings. Like,
it looks great.
Fucking looks crazy there. Terra Nova. I think this probably should have been on your list instead of Revolution. In my opinion,
I didn't even think about it until you brought it. I'm like, oh shit, I should have, because I love that show.
It was, so the premise of Terra Nova was, it was in the, a little bit in the future. We've polluted the earth so bad, but we fucking found a time warp that you can step through and you go back to dinosaur age. And so we're sending humans back.
But only to dinosaur age. You couldn't change the freaking time to 200 years earlier to stop this crap.
But it was an awesome premise, right? So they were going back in time, building houses and shit, and they're like, we're going to do things differently. But of course, it's like military leader led, and so it's kind of a strict regime. And then they hint that people have ran away and started like a rebel colony.
The main guy's son has this crazy power where he can go back and forth, or because of he had some tattoo that they find that end up being where he was able to travel back and forth from future. Because then there's the mob that sends people back in time,
right? Because they're told
that.
You can only go one way, you can't go the other way.
Yeah.
And it got canceled in the middle of the first season, but I thought it had a lot of potential. It was a me and you show for sure. It was like,
Dinosaurs great as well.
Right, dinosaurs are always cool. Another one I really liked was No Ordinary Family. It was just a little too early on the superhero craze.
Yeah.
If they waited a few years, I think it would have been a huge hit.
I liked it.
It was a little corny.
That's my only thing. We talked about this earlier. The son was the most awesome.
Yeah, the son was cool. He
was just a super genius.
He was so smart. He could see like physics and diagrams in his head of what everything.
And then the
was
mom was
happen.
super fast, and the dad who played Thing was just super strong.
Yeah, John Chiklis might be his name. And then the mom was a chick off Dexter. But anyway, I really like No Ordinary Family, but as soon as it got canceled, it wouldn't have went on too long because the main villain was the child molesting Seventh Heaven father.
Yep.
So it probably would have got.
He would have been gone.
He would have been gone eventually. And then the last one I had, which can be held, is 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. But then I want to say his name is John Ritter, whoever was off Three's Company. He died, and in the show they passed it to David Spade. What you expect to happen as far as how well it did, and then they canceled it or whatever. But I always liked that show. So I put that one as an honorable mention as well.
For sure.
All right. Anything else we need to mention here, PowWow?
Not that I know of. My tournament got canceled today, which sucked after paying $100 for.
Yeah, that is some bullshit.
And it's like, I asked him, I go, y'all going to reschedule or anything? No responses. You respond real quick when I ask you how much I got to pay.
I'll end with some random facts here. The white nationalist sign, like their thing is this, right?
Yep.
That's their symbol. If y'all don't know, it's basically the look at this below the waist and I'll punch you sound. But there's like a 3 that looks like a W next to it. Yep. And that is actually also the sign language for asshole.
I've seen that.
I think that's so awesome.
It's so good.
That they chose the American Sign Language word for asshole to be their slogan.
Yep.
I'm sure they didn't know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Something else I read this week thought was great. Homosexuality was classified as an illness in Sweden until 1979. And to protest in Sweden, people started calling into work claiming they felt a little gay today.
I'm sorry. That's so funny.
And they got them to change it where they wasn't a sickness, so people would quit saying it.
That's crazy. It's like, I watched Brokeback Mountain. Sorry, guys. I'm feeling a little gay today. I can't call in.
Right. All right. And my last one. So I'm about to tell you how long it took for each one of these products to get 50 million users.
Okay.
So for the airplane, it took 68 years for there to be 50 million users.
Okay.
Cars, 62 years.
Okay.
Telephones, 50 years. Electricity, 46 years.
Damn.
Credit cards, 28 years.
Of course, that makes sense.
TVs, 22 years. ATMs, 18 years.
I feel like we're going to get something real crazy at number 1.
Computers, 14 years.
Yeah.
Mobile phones, 12 years.
Okay.
Internet, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
iPods, 4 years.
Damn.
YouTube, 4 years. Facebook, 3 years. Twitter, 2 years. Pornhub, 19 days.
Oh my God. No way. That's crazy. I knew you were going to go something number 1 nuts. Wasn't expecting that.
And I understand there's infrastructure involved in a lot of the previous ones, and you have to have the computers and the electricity.
But still.
That's insane.
That's insane. Not even a month.
Insane.
Oh my God.
All right. So that's all we have this week. Next week, pal, do you know what our top 5
I
list
do,
is?
but I'm going to skip it to the next one.
Okay.
Top 5 cereals is what we're going to do next week.
Okay. What do we skip? Is it one
Top
we're going to
5
ever
card
do?
games.
Okay, we can skip them.
I said I'll go to that one next time, but I just want to do cereals.
We'll see down for you like card games. So I put
Yeah,
it
I
there
do.
for you. So, yeah, top 5 cereals will be really tough for me. I'm going to have to convince my wife that I'm going to have to sample, go to the store and buy a bunch of, I got to try them. Dude, I ate some Fruit Loops, bought some Fruit Loops 2 weeks ago, and I remember growing up, I didn't love Fruit Loops. And that one Entourage episode where they go to the valley and they steal the Fruit Loops from that woman's cart.
Mm-hmm.
I remember us watching that episode and went and bought Fruit Loops that day. And ever since then, I've been like, I like Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
But I bought a box of Fruit Loops that were so good. I have no idea why, but they just were way better than I remember Fruit Loops ever being. So heads up, Fruit Loops might be somewhere on the list.
No, it's a good choice.
There's a lot of really good ones. Like I could probably do a top 25.
I know you could.
I love breakfast cereal.
For sure. And we're going to do cereal that's either no longer
All
going.
cereal. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all cereal.
Because, for instance, as an example, old Cookie Crisp aren't the same as new Cookie Crisp.
No, they're
and
not.
old Cookie Crisp, delicious. New Cookie Crisp, disgusting.
Yep, agreed.
Have you noticed they sell they sell name brand cereal in bags now?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that till the other day. And I was like, oh, I guess you could do that. But growing up, we all had the Tupperware that we kept cereal in. And I never see that anywhere. Like, no one I know does Tupperware anymore.
No.
But I want to find some and bring that back.
Someone's probably got some like super expensive glass one now that people put it in instead of just some Tupperware.
My plan always, when we had the Tupperware, and I never did it, was when you hit the very end where there's on enough for a bowl, always want to put that to the side and keep it to the side until the end of the year. And then I make a bunch of basically Rice Krispie treats out of all of the cereal combined. I never did it.
It's still good. It's not super stale.
I think it's okay with Rice Krispie treats, right?
It should.
Or maybe put in a jar, a mason jar.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, that's all we got.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.